Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bock Community Garden. This is the new garden orientation for 2025. I'm Leslie Parker, and I'll be your narrator for this video. Hopefully, I'll get to meet you on opening day, but in case you can't make it, and to minimize how much time we have to be outside in April, in case there's a freak snowstorm like my second year in the garden, we have this video you can watch in your pajamas at home. You can even re-watch it later if you don't get enough of my corny jokes the first time. If you have any questions about anything covered in this video, or something we didn't cover, please send us an email or ask any of the community members if you see us in the garden. Thank you for your patience and understanding, and let's get started. Once upon a time, there was an empty old farming field that had been lying fallow for years, collecting weeds. In 2006, the Friends of Pheasant Branch Conservancy purchased the nearly 20-acre parcel for $3 million, with the help of many private and public donors. This parcel was then transferred to the city of Middleton, who agreed to manage the new Bock community forest following a plan carried out by adaptive restoration. As part of the deal, the city's sustainability committee created a community garden on 1 acre of the property, with the understanding that the gardeners would participate in the restoration and stewardship of the forest. That's why we try to partner with the Friends of Pheasant Branch and Adaptive Restoration to have work sessions that work in the prairie in addition to nurturing some unique features inside the garden. In 2010, the land was cleared and the first plots and walkways were laid out. The following year, our wonderful shed was built by Operation Fresh Start under the direction of Middleton Public Lands Director Penny Klein. In 2013, a local Boy Scout designed and built the stairs leading up to the garden from Highland Way as his Eagle project. In 2016, our fantastic new tool rack was built. In 2017, rabbit fencing was installed at the base of the deer fence, and the number of bunny visitors decreased, although we continued needing to evict bunny residents that sneak through. In 2023 and 2024, we had 2 more additions courtesy of Eagle projects, railings for the stairs, and a dedicated shed for storing cardboard. Some of the unique features I mentioned earlier are our native plant beds, located at the corners of the garden, as well as the pollinator bed located next to the raised beds. We also have a native demonstration garden outside of the fence located along Highland Way, where we grow many species of native plants and flowers. We have a collection of fruit trees that grow pears, apples, cherries, and peaches. The fruit are available to all of our gardeners to sample in modest amounts. Just don't pick them before they're ripe. We will send out a notice when each fruit is ready to pick. The apples especially like to look ready before they are, so be patient. We also have a caneberry patch where we grow currants and raspberries for everyone's enjoyment. The bumblebees particularly enjoy the raspberry flowers, so be careful when looking for ripe berries. Our children's garden is also open to all, and there you will find a strawberry patch, currant bush, and native flowers. Bock Garden also has a small dedicated space for growing food that gets donated to one of our local food pantries. We encourage our gardeners to plant a couple plants or even a row to donate as well. If you have any produce that is of reasonable size and on the list of desired produce, we also accept that for donation. Not all produce is accepted, as some vegetables are over-donated or may be too large. If it's too big for you to want to deal with, they probably don't want to either. Donated produce can be dropped off in the coolers on the porch of the shed. All donated produce should be free of dirt and pests. Bock Garden is an organic community garden, so we ask that you abide by organic gardening principles. Take out anything that you bring into the garden. That includes row markers, plant covers, zip ties, and any other materials that don't decompose in a season. Plastic in general is not allowed unless it is sturdy enough to weather multiple gardening seasons. Plastic ground covers are specifically not allowed. No meat, dairy, pet feces, or non-composted livestock manure should be used as they may harbor disease. No non-organic fertilizers, herbicides, or chemical pesticides. Decorative rocks must be at least 6 inches across and weigh less than 50 pounds. Mulches must be free of weed seeds and biodegradable in a reasonable amount of time. For instance, the wood chips provided by the garden are for the pathways between plots only, and should not go in your plot. They take a couple of years to break down and can be frustrating for the next gardener who works your plot. This is the list of plants that are not allowed in the garden. They fall into 3 main categories: poisonous, invasive, or woody. To simplify, we've listed the woody and invasive plants together, as there is overlap between these groups. Poisonous plants not allowed at Bock include a lot of pretty flowers including foxglove, delphinium, morning glories, and daffodils. They may be pretty, but they can all make someone, for instance a child that has escaped their supervisor, quite sick. Invasive plants that are not allowed at Bock include mint, horseradish, and morning glories. I'm bringing up morning glories again because they are personally the bane of my existence. They may seem harmless, and some annual varieties are, but the perennial varieties will spread like crazy if not rigorously kept in check. Plus the seeds are poisonous, so please, please, please don't plant any or I will find you and I will have words for you. Very polite words, but stern, and no one wants to see that. Anyway, some good news. Chives, dill, fennel, and oregano are allowed. Big if here, they are carefully controlled as they would love to colonize your neighbor's plot if you would only let them. Alright, a couple more rules and then we can get to the fun stuff. We have a bike rack for your bikes. Keep them there, not inside the fence where they will block pathways. Pets, I love them, you love them, but not everyone does. Keep them outside the fence with your bikes. Kids are welcome in the garden, but we request that those under the age of 12 have adult supervision lest they wander into someone else's plot. Speaking of which, do not yourself venture where you do not have permission to go. Do not pick produce you did not grow. Be a good neighbor. If your produce wanders off without permission, let us on the committee know. We can't do anything about it if we don't know it's happening. Sometimes that means putting out rabbit traps, live capture of course. Speaking of the bunnies, make sure you close the gates behind you when entering and leaving. In the summer, you can see bunnies sitting out behind the back fence just waiting for someone to leave the gate open unattended. I'm not kidding. Here's a picture I took of one such cottontail that I and 4 other gardeners spent half an hour herding out of the garden. Here's a map of the garden with some of the important features highlighted. Out past the fence in the northwest corner are the wood chip and compost piles. The wood chips are for keeping the walkways neat and weed-free, and the compost pile is for making things you plant grow better. Each gardener is responsible for taking care of half of the pathway adjacent to their plot. You're also the one responsible for adding compost to your plot. That one's a little more obvious, we're not going to do it for you. Keep in mind, the compost pile is just for mature compost that we procure for everyone's use. All composting of material from your plot should happen in your plot, using whatever method works best for you. Cardboard is the secret ingredient that goes under the wood chips in the pathways that actually keeps the weeds from growing there. It is very necessary, and we never have enough. If you have extra, or are one of those rare and beautiful people who have access to lots of big, continuous cardboard sheets from appliance boxes or something else, please drop them off in the cardboard shed next to the gate. Please make sure the doors are shut and locked when you're done, so it doesn't get ruined in the rain. Big sheets with no holes and minimal tape is best. Thank you so much. You're my hero. Oh look, more rules. But these are important. Well, all the rules are important, but these are extra so because these are the ones people seem to break the most. Don't be like them. Be your best gardener. Number 1. Return the tools after you use them. Don't forget them in your plot and leave. Number 2. Clean the tool head. Get all of that dirt off while in your plot. Dirt carries weed seeds and soil pathogens. No one wants your weed seeds, and you don't want theirs. So get all of that dirt off in your plot. We have wire brushes to help with that, or you can just grab a big wood chip, whatever gets the job done. Just remember to do it at your plot, not my plot, not your neighbor's plot, and definitely not the tool rack. The tool rack doesn't want your weed either. Knocking all that dirt off at the tool rack just builds up places for weeds to grow. So return those tools nice and shiny to the rack. I only want to see shiny shovels, got that? Number 3. Use the correct tool for the job. This is the most common way that tools get broken. Someone uses them incorrectly. The biggest offender is confusing the pitchforks with the spading forks. Pitchforks are long and spindly for picking up lots of light things like wood chips or hay. Spading forks are short and sturdy for digging. Every year, someone tries to dig with the pitchfork and breaks or bends the tines. Don't be that person. Number 4. If you do break a tool, please let us know. Tools break even if they're being used correctly. Our tools live busy lives, and breaking is just part of the cycle of life for tools. We don't blame you, and we'll probably thank you if you let us know something is broken so we can take it out of circulation and repair or replace it. To be invited back to the garden next year, it's important to maintain your gardener in good standing status. You can do this by following the rules, maintaining your plot, completing best practices, completing your work session requirement, and being a respectful member of the community. This includes the birds, bugs, and critters we share our garden with. Plots will be regularly assessed to make sure we are all keeping up with them. If your plot has an issue needing addressing, you'll be sent an email. Otherwise, no news is good news. Criteria that are assessed include whether there are weeds growing in the plot or pathway, whether the path is in good repair and is free from obstructions, whether any plants are encroaching on or overshading neighbors' plots, if there are any overripe produce or dead plants left to rot in the open, if there is any trash or debris in the plot, or if there are any forbidden plants or pests present in the plot. Between June 15th and September 15th, plots should be at least 75% planted. I'm going to put extra emphasis on that overshading point. Don't plant your sunflowers where they will block your neighbor's sun. That's not cool. Don't be that person. Finally, all plots need to be cleared up for winter by November 1st. More detail on what that entails will be provided as the growing season winds down. We hold a best practices session at the garden each year to share gardening knowledge in person. This year, it's on May 3rd at 10 a.m. We'll meet at the garden shed before breaking into smaller groups depending on the number of attendees. Make sure you sign in to get credit for attending. We really want our new gardeners to attend, but if you can't make it, let us know and we'll provide you with a makeup option. Gardeners for each plot are required to contribute 6 hours of work service each year. There are a few ways this can be done. Some work around the garden is best accomplished by a group. For these things, we have 2-hour-long sessions scheduled throughout the year. We are limiting them to 6-person maximum for most of the year, so they can stay focused and efficient. Multiple people from a plot are welcome to sign up and attend a session. Focus groups are task forces of people trained to do specialized work in certain areas of the garden. This includes the orchard, caneberry patch, and native plant beds. Space on these focus groups is limited due to the training requirements and may require more than 6 hours over the course of the year. We encourage dedicated gardeners who are interested in gaining specialized skills to sign up. Be aware that some in-person training is required for new additions. Individual tasks can be great for those with schedules that don't have space for the scheduled work sessions. They could be short projects that get all of your hours done at once, or year-long assignments like the weeding team that only take a couple minutes at a time. We will do our best to match tasks to interests and capabilities. Finally, now onto some fun things. Meet your garden committee for 2025. We're all volunteers, so be nice. We're all that stands between you and a lawless Mad Max gardenscape. Our committee contains some master gardeners as well as lifelong gardeners, so feel free to ask us if you have any questions, big or small. Want to know if a plant is a weed or if it's too early to plant tomatoes? We can help. If you have a small project you want to do for the garden, float it past us. We're always interested in hearing what our gardeners are interested in. You can reach us using the Bock Garden email or say hi if you see us in the garden. We'll have some more tips in the best practices video in the future, but here are a few to get you started. Use the appropriate tools and maintain them properly. This over here is an improperly cleaned tool. I don't want to see any of that. Apply a generous amount of leaf compost, that's the stuff we provide out back, before you plant, whether that be in the spring or before succession planting. When shoveling the leaf compost or wood chips from the piles, work from the edges and lower areas of the pile. Get your receptacles as close to the pile as possible to reduce the amount that is spilled and left behind going to waste. Apply hay mulch when the growing season is underway after the soil warms up. If there was hay mulch covering your garden over winter, uncover the soil where you want to plant to allow the soil to warm up for 1 to 2 weeks. Warm soil is necessary for seed germination. As your plants grow, you can then push the hay back up to the stems. If possible, water plants at the base. Don't be like my husband and lightly spray your plants. You and a garden hose cannot reproduce the same conditions as rain. You want the water to infiltrate the soil, so get that hose right up against the base of those plants and concentrate the water where you want it, at the roots. A slight spraying of water will evaporate before it infiltrates, which just makes a good dirt bath condition for the birds to enjoy and doesn't really get any water to your plants. Early identification of weeds is key. Remove them by the root when they're small and it's easy and let them dry out before composting them. One gardening adage goes that any plant out of place is a weed. You don't need to break out the species identification handbook to know if something isn't where you want it. Do not compost rhizomus plants. I'll explain why in the next slide, but you can see a couple examples of how big these kinds of plants can get underground compared to what we see at the surface. That one on the bottom is some bindweed I pulled out of the pathway from my garden last year. This is why I don't like morning glories. Okay. Take any diseased plants or rotting produce out of the garden. Composting diseased plants just propagates those diseases in the soil where they can persist to infect your plants, or your neighbor's plants, next year. Rotting produce attracts pests, and no one wants rats in their plot. Harvest the communal fruit and berries only when they are ripe and in small quantities so that everyone can enjoy them. If you have extra produce, consider donating it to our local food pantry. We'll be doing twice weekly donation pickups when the season gets going. Here's an example of two of our most common early season weeds. Dandelions are fairly well known. They're easiest to pull out when they're small, so stay on top of them or you'll need a weeding tool to get them out. The roots can regrow new plants, so you really want to get that out and not just cut the top off. Don't let them go to seed, as each plant can produce up to 20,000 seeds. This is one of our edible weeds, so you can take sweet revenge for it growing in your plot by eating it, if that's your thing. Quackgrass is an example of one of those rhizomous weeds I mentioned earlier. In addition to small fibrous roots, they grow underground stems that spread out to send up more plants. These rhizomes break easily, and the pieces can produce new plants, so it's important to get as much of the rhizomes out as possible. The best approach is to carefully loosen the soil with a spading fork, and then hand dig up the rhizomes. Never use a rototiller on quackgrass, as that just multiplies it like crazy. Once you've removed all of the quackgrass, cover the area with mulch to smother any new growth and immediately pull up any new plants. Rhizomous plants like quackgrass and bindweed cannot be composted, as the rhizomes will persist in the compost and grow new plants wherever the compost is spread. Always have a plastic bag or other trash receptacle on hand when weeding in order to be able to remove any rhizomous weeds you pull out from the garden. We send out a monthly newsletter that includes a selection of links to topics on relevant weeds, pests, and other gardening advice. So keep an eye out for those to learn more about our common weeds and pests and the best way to handle them. Our Easter egg hunt is returning this year on Saturday, April 19th from noon to approximately 12:30. Besides the egg hunting, there will be door prizes for the kids. If you're thinking of attending, we'd love if you could let us know so we can make sure we've got enough goodies for everyone. Thank you all for your time and sticking in there with me on this. As a community garden, we are all in this together. Remember to be understanding and respectful of the garden, its rules, and each other. If you have any concerns, comments, suggestions, maybe even compliments, please feel free to contact us on the committee. We want to make sure everyone has a happy, productive gardening season. I'll talk to you all again when we go over our best practices gardening advice. I hope to see you all out and about at the garden. Happy gardening!